Hey all, I'm Nick and I did my capstone research project on epinephrine and its effects on the human body and brain with PTSD. Now, epinephrine is commonly referred to as adrenaline, and what it is a crystalline hormone that is the principal blood pressure raising hormone secreted by the medulla of the adrenal glands. Now, the adrenal glands derive from the kidneys, which is triggered by the nervous system. So what happens during an adrenaline rush? Now, an adrenaline rush is the brain's reactionary fight or flight response. Now, this happens during a high intensity situation where the body is left to compensate for the brain's reactionary response. Now, what happens? Blood vessels dilate and oxygen flow increases. Glycogen is released to aid and repair muscles, and it's sort of like our very own Hulk-like transformation. The body and brain miraculously work in tandem to enhance primal instinct. What I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out more about PTSD and veterans and how adrenaline correlates through all of this. Now, my own personal connection is that my grandfathers both served, and one of them served in the Vietnam War, and he had a hard time coming back and readjusting to civilian life. My mom has a lot of stories where he would, a lot of late nights he would stay up, and he would often have these episodes where adrenaline would seep in and he would just go back to that moment where he was back in Vietnam. How it all relates. Despite the stimulation of an adrenaline rush being a natural reaction, too much exposure can have a negative impact on the body. Prolonged activity of high-intensity situations imbalance blood flow and increase blood pressure. Long-term, this deteriorates the brain and body, and these are common symptoms in veterans with PTSD. Now, the results of my research is that I found that there is a direct linkage between PTSD and adrenaline. After an intensifying firefight, battle, whatever you call it, a parasympathetic backlash occurs as the body tries to calm down. So during that battle, the body spikes up during an adrenaline rush to compensate, and then afterwards it has to somehow slow down and calm down after such a traumatic event. I did a lot of research and looked up, read a lot of blogs of Dave Grossman, who was a U.S. Army Ranger and West Point psychology professor, and he derived the term survivor euphoria, which is basically the guilt one feels when he returns home and his comrade or friend that was just next to him didn't. So it's a very painstaking guilt feeling that one feels, and it's common in a PTSD episode. So for my project, I'm doing this video explaining a little more about adrenaline and PTSD. In the future, I hope that I'm trying to advocate for increased spending in the Veterans Association healthcare and to prevent veterans from something very dark, which is suicide. Suicide is commonly linked to a high frequency of PTSD episodes. Hopefully, this increase in spending will also help veterans ease back and readjust into civilian life. Thank you for your time, and glad I could teach you all something.